Hi there. Welcome to the SBG podcast, SBG New Braunfels podcast. I'm Michael Hines. I am the owner of SBG New Braunfels Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu School. We teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing. We have programs for kids and adults. If that's something you're looking for, come check us out. I'm here today with Lark Mason, and he's going to be talking to us about Renaissance Faire and everything else that he's into. He's an interesting guy. He gets into various things. So, Lark, welcome.
Thanks, Michael.
Tell us a little bit about the Renaissance Faire.
Yeah, I'm Lark Mason III, and we, a couple of years ago, an idea just popped into my head from nowhere. I don't know why, because I have never been to a Renaissance Faire. Or at that time had never been to a Renaissance Faire. And it was to put on a small Renaissance Faire here in New Braunfels. I'm on the board of a historic village, Heritage Village, which is next to Churchill Middle School.
Okay.
And I spoke to my wife, one of my buddies, and his wife about it. And we all thought, this sounds really cool, but you know, life gets in the way and things fell. And then out of the blue, people started calling me and saying, hey, I heard you're going to put on a Renaissance Faire. And it was all these people who are really involved with the with the world of Renaissance Fairs, which there's a big group of those people.
Sure.
SCA, Society of Creative Anachronisms.
Right.
They do sword fighting.
I had a roommate in university who was in that. Yeah.
It's so fun. Did he have armor?
Yes. He had leather armor and
Yeah.
big, like wooden sword and stuff. Like
A couple HEMA guys.
Yeah, I know HEMA too, actually. Like
An archery group, and people just started to come out, and we realized, you know, this is something that's going to, I think people will really enjoy. And we wanted to raise money for a couple different nonprofits, and thought, how can we do that? Well, this is a great opportunity for us to do that. We had our first year last year. We did one weekend. It was a family-friendly, Christmas-themed Renaissance Fair.
that's so cool.
We had animals out, sword fighting, real archery that participants, you know, just attendees can do, foam archery for kids,
So cool.
foam sword fighting that, again, kids can get involved, parents can get involved. It's very, very fun. And we also had a bunch of our local groups get involved, because I'm big on building community involvement. That's
So
how you
cool.
make things that last.
Sure.
You know, well, I don't want to say my favorite, but I really liked the Circle Arts Theater came out and did Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Very cool.
And we got to the end of the weekend, looked at our ticket sales, spoke to one of my buddies, and realized we had between 13,000 and 15,000 people come out to our first weekend, and it was fantastic. We were able to give quite a bit of money to the different nonprofits.
Okay.
Heritage Village was the primary recipient.
Okay.
And if you like history, you should go to Heritage Village.
Okay.
19th century village. They took a lot of our local buildings that were going to be destroyed. The Fachwerk buildings by the German settlers, and moved them there.
Huh. Oh, I haven't been there actually. So.
It's pretty cool. And
I've checked it out.
The Museum of Texas Handmade Furniture, which is the only museum of Texas handmade furniture.
Okay. Huh.
Which is neat.
That's cool.
The second recipient was a veteran group, Victory for Veterans, which is
Very cool.
a veteran suicide prevention group.
Okay.
And then we had a bunch of other ones beneath that, including Humane Society, Circle Arts Theater, and a bunch of others. But
Wow.
this year we're going to have jousting.
That is super cool. Tell me more about the jousting that you have planned there. That's interesting to me. So I should also mention, like, I have participated in the local branch of HEMA very, very briefly, but one of our members, on and off, Connor Dillon, he kind of ran HEMA around here for a decent amount. I don't know if he's still involved with it right now, but A friend of mine put it really well. HEMA is like when you want to take your self-defense fantasy to the next level.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what that is, you're training with the martial weapons of like the European era and stuff like that. But the HEMA guys like go in and they like translate old texts on like fighting with a broadsword and try to understand the techniques that they were talking about and stuff. And it's a lot of fun, like putting on the gear and swinging around swords and stuff. It's definitely like, you know, it's like I said, it's taking your self-defense fantasy to the next level, like
historical European martial arts.
Yes,
and I feel like there's a lot of there's a point that it comes to, and then it's just whacking each other.
And it's like, but yeah, I've always found it pretty like, you know, it's fun. There's definitely something kind of. I feel like that community understands itself pretty well too.
Oh yeah,
they're not like. So when I'm walking down the street with a broadsword, you know, like I'm gonna need, like, everybody kind of gets it that, like, you know, we're doing something unusual, I suppose, but no more unusual than like fencing or something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, who's gonna fence in the modern world? You know, like these are not.
I mean, like you run a gym.
I run a gym.
Most people aren't going to, on a daily occurrence, have to do jujitsu.
I tell them that all the time. I'm like,
They're working out.
The bulk of your jujitsu that you're ever going to practice is going to be here in the gym, and like, it's like, God forbid you ever have to use this.
Yeah.
Like, you could, but it's like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 16 years, and I've never been in a fight. Like, I've never even. I could tell you the time that I got closest to it, but like, it's just. Fights are pretty avoidable for an adult, like with some intelligence, and should be avoided. Is usually how I like to say it, but you know.
Well, and I think for kids also as well, for adults, martial arts teach you how to avoid fights.
Should
you know, they should teach you how to you know take care of yourself and remain calm and all that stuff. But in the same way, it's a great way to get exercise as an adult.
Exercise,
HEMA's the same thing.
HEMA's the same thing. I agree. HEMA's cool. HEMA's cool.
And the armor that they wear, it's like being in a sweatbox.
It is. It's very heavy. It's very gnarly. We used to I didn't last very long. We used to let the HEMA guys in our previous location train in the parking lot behind our gym and stuff like that.
Well, if you should get back in touch with Connor, you could come out and play.
Sure.
We're going to do the same thing we did last year. We're going to have some of the live, it's called Boo Hurt, which I did not know about. Boo Hurt. Those are the guys who are wearing full armor, metal armor. And they're using swords that look, for all intents and purposes, real. But they're blunted.
I see.
You know, helmets, and they just whack the crap out of each other.
Sure.
And it's kind of like, it's similar to sumo wrestling in that if you get down on a knee, you put your hand down.
I see.
As I understand it, having never done it,
I understand.
Then you're out. And the goal is really, you know, some of these guys, they'll have a pole axe and
crazy.
And we'll have those guys. We're going to have we're working on having a wooden sword fighting exhibition as well, because I recognize there were a lot of kids. We made the ticket sales were $10 last year, with an additional $2 for the grounds, and then for some of the nonprofit that we were doing. It's going to be the same price online, early ticket sales, which is nbrenfair.com, New Braunfels Renaissance Fair.com.
I'll put those links under the
that we made it completely free for kids under 12.
I see.
And we're going to do the same thing because we want lots of families to come out.
Sure.
You know, and there are a lot of people who have 3 kids, 4 kids, and that adds up.
It does. Yeah, it certainly does.
So we wanted to have something that was a little bit less intense. So that's the wooden sword fighting.
Gotcha.
We didn't, that I'm aware of, I don't think we had a HEMA group out last year that was doing HEMA fencing. We did have Olympic fencing.
Oh, cool.
One of the local high schools came out and did some Olympic fencing exhibitions, which was cool.
What is the date on all this?
December, first 2 weekends in December.
First two weekends in December.
So Thanksgiving's going to end, and then December 6th to 8th and 13th to 15th this year. We're doing 2 weekends because there were a lot of people who said we weren't able to make it.
Sure, I understand. Yeah.
So we wanted to split it up to make it easier. We also, if any of y'all came last year, we added an additional 3-4 acres. Heritage Village. We've cut into the forest in the back to create a usable space. It was all invasive species. So,
I see.
a wonderful man, Carlos Urquham's, owner of the Springs Nursery out of the Spring Branch, came in, cleared out the majority of the stuff back there, so we can get in and make it into a really usable space.
Sure, it's cool. So many invasive species.
So many invasive
Texas
species.
is like invasive.
Right.
That's all it is, right?
Well,
like,
I mean, Southeast Asian trees,
sure.
bushes, they're like, oh, this is great. It's hot.
Right.
And there's nobody to fight us.
We'll close up soon here, but Lark, tell me about what else you do, because you do a lot of other things. Like,
So there are, I like doing different things. My family, we have, the reason that we came to New Braunfels is from my father and my mother's auction house. We started a branch of our auction house down here. We do fine art and antique auctions here in town. We're catty cornered to McAdoo's. So McAdoo's parking lot, and then on the other side there's Ducky's. We are the fourth corner.
I see. Okay.
It's an old German building that's been raised up, a Faulkner building.
I see.
We have exhibitions taking place there at least twice a year, usually 3 to 5 times a year. We'll have exhibitions of Roman, it ranges. Last year, our coolest exhibitions, we had a samurai sword, katana, wakizashi kantos, as well as some samurai armor. Real things. The oldest swords were 14th, 13th century, which is awesome. And then Chinese imperial robes. We also have Roman things come through, ancient Greek, and not insignificant pieces. They're things that otherwise you would see in a museum.
Sure.
But at an auction house, you get to come and you can touch them.
Right.
And be right up next to them, so it's very fun.
Cool. Very cool.
The gallery is one thing that I do. I'm an Asian art specialist. I am an Asian art specialist on the Antiques Roadshow, the PBS TV show. And besides that, my wife and I have a art business. We have an art studio. She is a fantastic artist. It's called Tenzan Studio. And Floating Mountain. She makes these very cool watercolors that have little anime characters hidden in them.
Oh, wow.
But they look like Japanese woodblock prints.
Oh, cool.
And we are starting to make Japanese woodblock prints as well.
Very cool.
So those are the 3 main things that I do.
You had like a food blog.
We did have a food blog.
Yeah. That's what we had an old podcast episode. That's what we talked about, right? Like
Good Eats NBTX.
Did you keep it up, or did it kind of fall away?
We stopped. After COVID.
I see.
Kind of right before COVID, we were like slowing down, and then COVID, we were like, this is too hard. We were going to restaurants and doing, takeout and trying to do stuff, but this is too difficult.
What an interesting. It's such an interesting kind of marker of change.
Yes.
So many people talk about it in some context, like, well, we were doing this, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then we did this, whole businesses shift to something else.
Yes. Well, you guys moved to this fantastic location as well.
Thank you. Yeah. We really like it here.
It's wonderful. It's great.
Yeah, there's some space to grow here too. I can show you after, but we like it here for sure. Yeah. The whole place was fine, but I definitely prefer.
Well, you gotta try some Hema and come out to the Ren Fair.
Will do. Well, thanks for having.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on and everything, and we'll get all the links posted at the end here.
So come on out, nbrenfair.com. Come see Santa Claus, December 6th to 8th, 13th to 15th. Watch some jousting.